The Superstar Racing experience is back, but things look a little different this year. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Real quick, tonight I will be live on this channel with some of my NASCAR content creator friends. We'll debate Atlanta, talk NASCAR free agency a bit, top 75 drivers, and a whole lot more. So be sure to tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The link is down in the description below. Tomorrow night, Thursday, July 13th, the SRX returns for year 3. And this season, the series is dripping with nostalgia. Obviously, the SRX is already a nod to IROC, which brought together champions from across the racing world. But this season, the SRX moves from CBS to ESPN, bringing Thursday Night Thunder back. I've already seen some promotion this week watching the baseball home run derby on ESPN Monday night. They played a couple Superstar Racing Experience ads. So in today's episode, I not only wanted to sort of preview season 3 of the SRX, but I also wanted to dive deeper into the SRX's place in the current American racing ecosystem. Let's talk about the SRX Season 3. Once again, 6 races, 6 consecutive Thursday nights now, all on ESPN. Stafford is the opener tomorrow night. Grandstands are sold out. Next week, they'll race at Thunder Road, then Motor Mile, then Berlin Raceway in Michigan, which is also sold out, then Eldora, and the finale will be held at Lucas Oil Raceway. Alan Bestwick, once again, will serve as the lead play-by-play commentator. This also marks technically his return to ESPN. Joey Logano will be in the booth tomorrow night. Nicole Briscoe will serve as the anchor. Matt Yoakum, the pit reporter. Don Hawk, the CEO of the SRX, said recently that 44 tracks reached out to them about potentially hosting a race. 44! They had to narrow that down to 6. Tony Stewart, Don Hawk, Sandy Montag, George Pine, the whole group at the SRX is focused on growth. They've been discussing how they can take what they've learned the last 2 years, continue to improve on it, continue to keep the racing fun. The SRX is built for television. There's a lot of racing action, a lot of unique content crammed into a neatly packaged 2-hour TV window. This year, the Superstar piece of the Superstar Racing Experience is set to deliver in a big way. Take a look at the entry list for Stafford tomorrow night. Clint Bowyer, Marco Andretti, Paul Tracy, Kevin Harvick, Hailie Deegan, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Ryan Newman, Ken Schrader, and Tony Kanaan. Oh man, drivers like Deegan, Keselowski are actually running full-time in the SRX this year. Tons of other active NASCAR stars, IndyCar stars are making one-off starts here and there. The rest of the driver lineup is ridiculous. We'll see Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, Helio Castroneves, Ron Capps, Austin Dillon, Ernie Francis Jr., Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Joseph Newgarden, Daniel Suarez, and Kenny Wallace at one point or another this season. By moving from Saturday night to Thursday night and also shadowing the NASCAR Cup Series schedule the next 6 weeks, that's opened the door for many active NASCAR stars to participate. And while this season's Superstar roster is pretty well stacked, Tony Stewart isn't satisfied. He recently said, quote, "I still want to get Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon in cars. That's 2 guys that are superstars. And that's what this series is about, superstar drivers. Those are 2 guys that for sure belong in this series and have earned their right to drive in this series. I know the fans would love to see both of those guys back behind the wheel of race cars again." Can you imagine Jeff Gordon in the SRX? Now, Tony Stewart also acknowledged that both Dale and Jeff have very busy schedules these days, but hey, Tony Stewart can dream. Again, the 6-week summer series kicks off tomorrow night at Stafford Motor Speedway on ESPN. The SRX does a lot of things well. This is just my opinion, of course, but obviously I love how the SRX brings together the best of stock car racing, the best of open wheel, Ron Capps of NHRA, Ernie Francis Jr. with his Trans Am background, Casey Kane these days mostly driving sprint cars. Again, it's reminiscent of IROC. I love that we're matching up Daytona 500 champs like Denny Hamlin with Indy 500 champs like Helio Castroneves. We get to see young stars like Hailie Deegan battle wheel to wheel with veteran stars like Kevin Harvick. Longtime fans get to see old favorites like Bobby Labonte, Matt Kenseth race one more time. It's great. It bridges the gap between the previous generation of racing fans and the new modern generation of race fans. I also love the schedule, especially this year. I love that the SRX typically takes place during kind of a lull in at least the NASCAR schedule. Like, New Hampshire is this weekend, Pocono coming up, the Indianapolis road course. The SRX will be over before the Daytona regular season finale arrives. Of course, they're on Thursday nights this year, shadowing the Cup schedule, which I think is why guys like Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Harvick are running these races. I'm going to Michigan later this summer, and I'm spending like a whole week there because I'm going to go to Berlin for the SRX race, then I'm going to drive across the state for the NASCAR stuff at Michigan Saturday and Sunday. One plane ticket, lots of racing, a lot of bang for my buck, so I appreciate that. I also love that the SRX continues to highlight local short tracks across the country. Stafford is back on the schedule, Eldora, of course, most folks know those names. In the past, we've seen Five Flags Speedway, Nashville Fairgrounds, Slinger, a personal favorite of mine. A couple tracks have stayed the same, but each year there are a few new ones. I think getting these local tracks on national TV, I imagine is great for business. I don't know, I watched the Slinger Nationals last night on Racing America. It was a sellout. Chase Elliott, William Byron being on the entry list may have contributed to that, but it looked packed out there. And I remember a couple of years ago, Slinger put on a fantastic show in the SRX. We've also seen the SRX try out some unique, maybe innovative broadcasting techniques, like the use of drones over green flag racing, zipping in between and right above the cars as they're racing. We don't see that in NASCAR. Interviewing the drivers during green flag racing. We probably never see that in NASCAR, but it's fun in this context. If I remember correctly, the SRX never went to full screen commercials during green flag racing either. It was always a side-by-side. Now that they've switched from CBS to ESPN, I'm not sure if that will change, but I hope it doesn't, because it's something that hopefully other motorsports series can negotiate with their TV partners in the future. I also love how simple the SRX is. Basic short track formats with heat races, inverts between the heats, a main event that may have like a midway break. Easy to follow, easy to comprehend, a lot of action, again, packed into a 2-hour window. And one more thing I love about this, as someone who's personally and professionally invested into stock car racing, I love that the SRX is on ESPN this year. ESPN does not cover NASCAR outside of a few major moments or races a season. If there's some sort of off-track controversy, it might get some airtime. But ESPN is still the worldwide leader in sports. It is the second most viewed cable channel in America, by far the most viewed sports channel in the US. I'm glad that many active NASCAR stars and IndyCar stars and so on are getting basically free promotion on a rival network that isn't Fox or NBC, which obviously is motivated to promote NASCAR because they pay a lot to broadcast it. I love that, that's great. But I wonder how NASCAR and IndyCar, but especially NASCAR, I wonder how they view the SRX. Do they view it as competition? Considering that CBS the past 2 years averaged about 1 million viewers per race, that's Xfinity Series numbers. Does NASCAR view this series more as complementary? Because, active stars, especially this year with Hamlin, Busch, Austin Dillon Suarez, active NASCAR stars are getting promoted on a rival network. That could, in theory, bring more eyeballs to Sunday. I really don't know how NASCAR views this. I think fans often compare the two. Oh, NASCAR's way better at this. Oh, the SRX blows them out of the water at this. NASCAR has been top dog in the US for a long, long time. I don't think they should feel threatened by the superstar racing experience, but honestly, I do think NASCAR should feel a bit uneasy. And here's why. The SRX has proven that a startup, stock car-esque racing series can be successful and bring in, again, Xfinity Series level viewership. Remember last fall, the Race Team Alliance, which represents all the chartered NASCAR Cup Series teams, suggested they may start their own exhibition racing series outside of NASCAR's control. The SRX has proven that it's possible. Remember, NASCAR and the race teams have still not agreed on a new media rights split that would take effect in 2025. And we're technically now in the second half of 2023. Again, it won't go into effect for another 18 months, but they need to get something signed long before then. Part of the RTA's justification for, potentially starting their own exhibition series is to make up for lost money. It's not profitable to run NASCAR full time. We need to break even somehow, some way. We'll start our own series. The latest reports surrounding the media rights negotiations and the NASCAR team revenue split sounds somewhat encouraging, but both sides still fundamentally disagree on the charter system. The teams want to make it permanent. NASCAR, at least Jim France, does not. Again, the SRX is proving that a startup racing series can succeed during a time when existing NASCAR teams are considering doing their own thing. That should make NASCAR feel a little bit uneasy. But that being said, I do not think NASCAR should feel genuinely threatened by the SRX. They shouldn't view the SRX specifically as the enemy. They've promoted Kyle Larson's dirt escapades. They promote when, Byron, Chase Elliott, others run late model events. NASCAR should view the SRX as complementary, especially now that it's on Thursday nights. It's before the NASCAR weekend even kicks off. Again, the SRX is putting active NASCAR stars on ESPN free of charge. NASCAR should think of this as free promotion. George Pine, co-founder of the SRX, recently said, quote, "We think that promoting champion drivers and promoting motorsports is good for everyone. And I think over time, I think that's evolved, and I think that we have an excellent working relationship with NASCAR and have tried our very best to be complementary." Exactly. I do believe the SRX right now is complementary to NASCAR. And to IndyCar, NHRA, World of all other series as well. It's complementary. Don Hawk, again CEO of the SRX, said, quote, "I've been in direct communication with Jim France, and we're good. I've been in direct communication with Roger Penske, and we're good. We're good." So Don Hawk says. The SRX is awesome. It's short, it's sweet, it's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Maybe that's the next step one day, is it does take itself more seriously as a legitimate racing series. But I love how it fits into the motorsports ecosystem right now. It scratches an itch, it fills a gap, it complements NASCAR and IndyCar really, really well. Like I said, I'll be at the Berlin, Michigan race later this summer, and then I'll be driving over to Michigan International Speedway for NASCAR action. The SRX makes it really fun to be an American motorsports fan in the middle of the summer. So much action, so many nights of the week. I hope season 3 proves to be successful. And I'm looking forward to seeing what new tricks they can pull out of a hat now that they're teamed up with ESPN. Let me know your thoughts on the SRX down in the comment section below. Do you think NASCAR should view it as a threat, or is there a way they can live together in harmony and complement each other? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on this episode. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and you love talking stock car racing. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very generous and consistent support. I really appreciate y'all. Again, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be live talking probably a little SRX, but a lot of NASCAR, Atlanta, New Hampshire, top 75 drivers of all time, and a whole lot more. I will see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, folks.